All right, guys, it looks like we are live. I see some of you on the East Coast are up late tonight. It's not so late, right? 9:30. For me, it's late. After 9 o'clock, I'm basically done. But come on in, guys. It looks like we've got some wonderful news to celebrate here. Decision Desk headquarters has called the Virginia Republican race, as well as Dave Wasserman of the Cook Political Report, Ben Tribbett as well. A number of pundits have called it. The Republican Glenn Youngkin is projected to have defeated Terry McAuliffe in the Virginia governor's race. It was a decisive win because it looks like the Republicans have swept all three statewide offices. Come on in, gang. Make sure, let me know too if the volume is good. If it's, give me a thumbs up on the volume before I go any further. I'm too excited to report on all this. Let me know that the volume is good. Give me a good thumbs up or something like that. What do we got here? There we go. Thank you, Johannan Calvin. Thank you, sir. It looks like the Republicans. Oh, thank you, Selbrov. It looks like the Republicans have swept all three statewide offices. They're projected to have won the governorship, the lieutenant governorship, and the attorney generalship. This is huge. We have not seen a Republican sweep like this since 2009 with Bob McDonnell. And of course, that was a bellwether election for the 2010 midterms, where the Republicans went on to slaughter the Democrats. They won even more seats than the Gingrich Revolution back in 1994. So you could be assured Democrats are freaking out right now as we speak. Now, the vote tally, keep in mind, let me take a look at where Fox is right now. So Fox officially now, it's Glenn Youngkin with 74% vote in. Glenn Youngkin is at 54%. Terry McAuliffe is at 45%. That is going to tighten. Be prepared for that. That is going to significantly tighten. Youngkin is probably going to win. Richard Barris is projecting around 2 or 3% by 2 or 3 points. So don't freak out when you start seeing it tighten. He does appear to be well outside the margin of fraud. And in other words, there's just not enough votes out there for McAuliffe to pull this out at this point. At least it looks like at this point, 9:38 p.m. Eastern time. I never put anything past these left-wing Democrats, but it does look like Youngkin has pulled this off. And as the votes come in, we'll get more and more confirmation in terms of how he was able to do it. But it really looks like this race was just a textbook race for how a Republican wins in Virginia. Youngkin lost in counties by a smaller margin than, for example, what we saw in 2020. He lost by a smaller margin, and he won by bigger margins in the counties where he won. So he was really able to maximize his vote share, either in counties that he knew he was going to lose, but he wanted to lose by less of a percentage point, so as to create these margins, these 2, 3, 4% margins, so as to be able to pull this off. So as we go through it, hey, all right, yeah, 1,500 of you, come on in, everybody. Yeah, as we go through it, if there's any news you want to share in the comments, please do so. But it really does, as of now, 9:39 p.m. Eastern time, it really looks like Youngkin has pulled this off. Again, if you're just coming in, Decision Desk headquarters, as well as Dave Wasserman of Cook Political Report, Ben Tribbett, they have all called this for the Republican Glenn Youngkin, and they have also called the Decision Desk headquarters has called the lieutenant governorship as well as the attorney general for the two Republican candidates as well. And we have yet to see what is going on in their state House and Senate races. But right now, it obviously looks fantastic for the Republicans. Virginians may wake up tomorrow morning with a Republican triumphant, with the governorship, Senate, and state Senate, state House are all in Republican control. We'll have yet to see on that. But it is a huge win for the revitalized Republican Party of Virginia, revitalized as a new Patriot Party. Just let it soak in. I mean, as of tonight, vax mandates are history in Virginia. They're not happening. As of tonight, CRT has officially been buried. Youngkin has promised that on day one of his inauguration, he will pass an executive order, sign an executive order banning CRT from being taught in any classroom in Virginia. And here's another one for you guys. You ready for this? This is an awesome stat. 55% of voters that came out tonight, according to exit polls, 55% were gun owners, and they went for Youngkin 69-31. 55% of the vote were gun owners, clear majority, and that majority went for Youngkin 70-30. Okay, I mean, it doesn't get more devastating than that. So we can see that leftist gun control is dead in Virginia as of tonight. Leftist vax mandates is dead in Virginia as of tonight. And leftist CRT is dead in Virginia as of tonight. How's it feel to be winning again, huh? This is really awesome. Now, speaking of that, that's right, guys. Yeah, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Big thumbs up. Winning, winning, winning. All right. Speaking of, let's talk about the big winners and the big losers. Now, we'll get into this in more detail in tomorrow's first video in the morning that I'll put out for you guys as the data comes in. So we see just how extraordinary of a victory this was. But we do have some inkling of what happened here. So we can talk about, at least in a cursory fashion, who are the big winners and who are the big losers of tonight. Again, if you're just coming in, one more time, Decision Desk headquarters has called it for Glenn Youngkin in Virginia, the Republican. It is McAuliffe has been officially trounced. Again, it's going to be it's going to shorten. It's going to be at 2 or 3 points. It's still a close race, but hey, it is a W. Dave Wasserman of Cook Political Report has also called it, and Ben Tribbett has also called it as well. So let's talk about the big winners. The first big winner of tonight was the GOP of the Republican Party of Virginia. This was a huge victory for the Republican Party of Virginia. What we have to understand, especially after Bob McDonnell and kind of his disgrace that he experienced, who's the last Republican governor there, who was elected back in 2009. We have to understand that the Tea Party movement, in fact, severed the Republican Party. So you have really the rhinos, liberal Republicans in Virginia's north. They're all part of the swamp, right? And then you have the Patriot Party and increasingly MAGA Party Republican in the south of Virginia and the southwest. Okay, so you got your northern rhinos and your Tea Party and MAGA-loving Republicans, and they just couldn't come together around any particular candidate. And so they went from having wins of like 55-45, 53-47 to losses of proportional margin, 55-45, 60-40. They were getting slaughtered in the Republican elections of 2011, 20. I'm getting them all mixed up now. 2013 and 2017. McAuliffe in 13, and then Northam in 17. So they have been getting absolutely shellacked. They've lost, of course, to the Democratic presidential candidate each presidential year over the last several cycles. And now it looks like the Virginia Republican Party is reunited under Glenn Youngkin. And so this is huge. He has been able to bring these two factions together. So kudos to Glenn Youngkin for bringing the Republican Party together. He fought the culture wars, which is what the Southern Western Republicans want in Virginia. They want to fight the culture wars because they know that feckless rhino Republicans always cede the culture to leftists, and they just want to focus on giving corporate goodies to their donors. So Glenn Youngkin took the culture war banner, the sword and shield, by storm. He took on CRT. He took on vax mandates. I mean, it was really impressive stuff. And yet he was able to, he had a character and he had a manner about him that was able to appease the rhino Republicans as well. So he was able to bring these two together. Huge win for the Republican Party of Virginia. Obviously, second huge win of the night for the national GOP, the new Patriot Party GOP. And that's because the margin of victories that we appear to be seeing coming out of Western Virginia, right, rural Virginia for Youngkin, are so huge. We'll know more about this tomorrow, but the numbers in rural Virginia are totally overwhelming, northern and urban and coastal Virginia. And that's significant because we've been tracking over the course of this year a major political realignment that's going on right now as we speak. And if you guys are regular to this channel, you know what I'm talking about. And that realignment is between college graduates who are overwhelmingly siding with the Democrats and non-college graduates who are overwhelmingly siding with the Republicans. Up to this point, up to about 2016, non-college grads, like we saw in rural Virginia or in Iowa, for example, rural Pennsylvania, actually they more or less voted Democrat, old school Democrat, FDR, New Deal Democrat, but they tended to be working class, they tend to be union guys, and they voted Democrat. They voted blue. That's gone. That's dead. They have completely realigned. They've abandoned the identity politics of the far left Marxist Democrats, and they are now embracing the new MAGA-based America First Patriot Republican Party. Okay. And so what we're seeing here is this extraordinary realignment tonight in Virginia, where rural Virginians came out in droves and voted for Youngkin. And in the end, McAuliffe and the Democrats, they're basically stuck with their base. Their base are college graduate, urbanites, cosmopolitans. And that is a shrinking demographic. That is a shrinking demographic. We always hear about, the white base of the Trump coalition is shrinking. America's becoming less white. Blah blah blah. Gang, it doesn't matter. It's not necessarily white versus non-white. It's white and non-white college grads versus white and increasingly non-white non-college grads. And what we're finding is if you don't go to college, you don't get indoctrinated in this left-wing cultural Marxist nonsense. And so you tend to embrace this new nationalist populist traditionalism, tend to be churchgoers, you love being part of rural communities that are close-knit, and you're voting for the party that's promising to protect that. And the problem for the Democrats is that the college grad is only 36% of the population. Let that hit you. The college grad in the United States is only 36% of our population. It's been that way for quite some time now. They are not growing, and they are in fact shrinking demographically because they're not having kids. They're not having kids. That's the key. So chief executive says they're stealing it. Let's see. Hold on a sec. I told you the margins were going to shrink, right? Hopefully you heard that when I came in here. Margins are going to shrink here. Let me see. Let me get my no, it's out. You guys are they're not stealing anything. What are you talking? MSNBC is they're having a hissy fit. They're having a temper tantrum. MSNBC leaning hard into racism won it for Youngkin. Youngkin laundered Trump's racism. This is Nicole Wallace. Quote, Youngkin laundered Trump's racism, wrapped it in education, labeled it a lie. We'll talk about this more tomorrow. Joy Reid, Glenn Youngkin's campaign coded racial hysteria and critical race hype. No, guys, I don't know where you're coming from in that they're stealing it. The margins are going to shrink. You gotta know that, so that Youngkin will most likely win by about 2 or 3 percentage points. So be prepared for it to shrink, but that's only because Fairfax County and all the left-wing liberal, they come in late, but I don't think there's enough of a margin for their shenanigans to be able to affect the outcome. Again, we'll see. Remember, I did qualify this as of 9:39, I think I said, but it looks like we're good to go. So don't get hysterical yet, guys. Please stop that. Don't get hysterical. They're going to steal it. It's, well, the sky is falling. You sound actually more like a liberal when you do that. Remember, despair is un-American. Stop acting, or if that's the case, go find a nice corner to die in, as they say in the Return of the King and Tolkien's wonderful work. Go find a proper place to die. But anyway, the important point here, let me give you some more stats. In 2017, the Republican who lost to Ralph Blackface Northam, Ed Gillespie, he won whites without college degrees by 27 points. If Youngkin pulls out what it looks like he pulled out, he will have won that same category by over 40 points. That's the massive shift that we're seeing going on today. And again, what we have to understand is that this is why Democrats hate the rural working class so much. This is why they keep pouncing on this notion that, rural folk are just a bunch of racist bigots. It's because rural folk have abandoned them. Rural folk have abandoned them. They've embraced the Trumpian Republican Party. And the Democrats know they've lost them. They've actually lost the white vote since 1964. No Democratic presidential candidate has won the majority of the white vote since 1964. So this is where all that crap is coming from. And they're just trying to scare non-whites into compliance with their party. But when all is said and done, what we're finding is non-white, non-college grads are also beginning to defect away from the Democrats and start voting for the MAGA-based Republicans. So the Democrats are stuck with a base that's about 36% of the electorate, whereas the Republicans are tapping in more and more now to a base that, my heavens, 64% of the electorate. And that's why this victory in Virginia is so significant. If Youngkin has been able to go into what has been turning into a blue state and start tapping into a demographic that is the majority of the state by far, in some cases, a 70-30 split, we may have the potential of a MAGA-based America First coalition that's unstoppable, that's unbeatable. And so this is why I think tonight we've seen one of the most conservative electorates that we've seen in years. It was since Bob McDonnell, certainly since 2009. According to the exit polls, the electorate was self-identified as 40% conservative, which is huge for a state that's supposedly turning blue. So that's the first winner. The first winner is the Virginia Republican Party, and then the second winner is the National Republican Party and their ever-expanding rural base. And that, of course, brings us to the third winner, and that's the one and only Donald Trump. Trump, more than any Republican candidate back in 2016, recognized that the future of the Republican Party was the non-college graduate rural voter. He recognized that the so-called redneck, right, the so-called hick, the Neanderthal, the knuckle dragger, he recognized that the moment they got politically mobilized, nothing could stop us. Absolutely nothing could stop us. The new Patriot GOP would be, just in terms of numbers, absolutely unstoppable, because rural, non-college educated, or I should say, I don't like using the word educated because I think it's more indoctrinated, but non-college graduate rural voters are growing while the cosmopolitan college graduate voter is shrinking in terms of the percentage of the population. So let's chat losers here. Again, if you're just coming in with us, Decision Desk headquarters, Dave Wasserman, other pundits have indeed called the race in Virginia for Republican Glenn Youngkin. The margin that was really big, about 12, 14 points, that is going to shrink as Fairfax County comes in, which is solidly blue. That's going to shrink, but it looks like he's past. He's in a safe zone, so he doesn't have to worry about. He's outside of the margin of fraud, is what people are saying. So it looks like we do have a Republican sweep for the governor, the lieutenant governor, and also for attorney general. So who are the losers tonight, right? Well, you guys tell me. You're in the live stream. What do you think? Who are the major losers tonight? Who's the number one loser? Put it in the chat. I'm going to wait. Who's the number one loser? Not McAuliffe, right? Because McAuliffe is just a chump. He's a loser. Who's the number one loser? Who's got it? Put it in the chat. There you go, coach. Good job. Biden. Yeah, Simple Teen Fitness got it. Biden is obviously the major loser tonight. You know we have a new president, Joe, don't you? We have a new president, Joe. His name is Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin is the new president tonight, right? Now you're going to hear every single Democrat senator on the Capitol Hill say, I always agreed with Joe, that $3.5 trillion. What on earth were you thinking, Joe Biden? Well, of course you weren't thinking. That's the problem. Gang, Biden is politically dead. He is done. Stick a fork in Brandon. Brandon is gone. He is about as politically poisonous as you can possibly get as of tonight. He just let that hit you. He lost Virginia. Okay, let that hit you. He lost Virginia. Virginia was supposed to be so blue, so as to be unstoppable, and he lost Virginia. And it looks like he lost Virginia precisely in a way that that Republicans are establishing a possible new dominance like we've never seen. Again, when we're talking about Republican lieutenant governor, attorney general, they may have we'll find out by tomorrow morning, they may have the majority in both the state house and state senate. This is going to be gigantic. This would be absolutely gigantic. A gigantic loss for Biden. So you can be assured his agenda is dead. If CRT is dead in Virginia, if vax mandates are dead, if Second Amendment assaults are dead, you could be absolutely assured the rest is dead. Message to be stop being black-pilled. Well done, and I missed the name. I wish I set this to half the speed. Absolutely, stop for God's sakes being black-pilled. I'm serious. I'm starting to think that all the black-pilled comments we see are a bunch of Democrat trolls. I think they're a bunch of Lincoln Project pathetic Democrats who are actually doing their best to pose as patriots, because you don't sound like a patriot when you talk like that. You sound like a squealing little idiot running around screaming and crying when the guns start shooting. So go away, go flop somewhere else. So second major loser tonight is, of course, the mainstream media, right? I already talked about MSNBC's Nicole Wallace. She said that critical race theory is not real, which is absurd. Critical race theory is objectively real. It's rooted in critical legal studies. Critical race theory is a very much a thing in the academy and is very much being taught in public schools. She said that turned the suburbs 15 points, quote, get this, to the Trump insurrection endorsed Republican Glenn Youngkin. The Trump insurrection endorsed Republican. This is considered a legitimate pundit. A person who not even talks, who actually thinks this way, is actually considered to be a legitimate voice in the mainstream media. I'm also thinking of idiots like Larry Sabato, the pollster who came on out and said, I think it was just today or yesterday, that if Youngkin wins tonight, it'd be because of because of a racist white lash among rural Virginian voters. I mean, again, what a loser. All of that are just dog whistles to say, hey guys, we in the left, we're losing, and we got to do something about losing. And we're losing because we've lost a major demographic in the Democratic Party, which was the white working class voter. The white working class voter was always guaranteed to make sure that we won Iowa, we won Wisconsin, we won Michigan, we won Pennsylvania. Guaranteed it. What is to stop them cheating? Oh, there we go. Do you guys just can we meet? Can we meet you in person in Phoenix? Yes, you can meet me in person in Phoenix. Absolutely. I was just asked. Well, first of all, what's to stop them from cheating? Voting. That's what's to stop them from cheating. Tell the old Soviet Union. I love you guys who think that this is impossible to overcome, because your theory would still have the Soviet Union alive today. The Soviet Union collapsed when you can only lie and steal for so long before the whole thing morally collapsed. So how do you defeat them? You vote. That's what you do. You go out and you vote. You vote and you vote and you vote. That's what you do. That's how you do it. So anyway, yes. And by the way, I don't know if I have a link down below, but if you want to meet personally and talk about these things, come on out to Phoenix, Arizona for the American Freedom Tour. You can get that a link on our website at turleytalks.com. I'd love to see you guys out there. We'll be with Donald Trump Jr., Kayleigh McEnany, Dinesh D'Souza, a whole wonderful lineup. So anyway, that's huge here. I think the mainstream media is the big loser in all of this, along with Joe Biden. I made that argument in one of the, I think, videos today, that both Biden and the mainstream media are falling and sinking together in all of this. All right, let me see if there's been any updates since we chatted. But that about does it for my analysis tonight. No, all looks well. It looks like this is a relatively done deal. They are, let's see, Fox has yet to call it. I've been waiting on Fox to call it. But we will see. So bright and early tomorrow, we will have a fuller analysis now once we have all the election data in. But as of we speak right now, it looks like we have a huge congratulations to give to Glenn Youngkin and the revitalized Republican Party of Virginia. So what does that mean next? Where are we going next, gang? What's next? What's the next thing we've got coming up in 2022? What do we got? We got the midterms, right? The midterms are coming. And just like in 2009, right, when Obama was in office and he was considered to be the great savior of globalism and the like, he lost Virginia in 2009. And then in 2010, he went on and to see his majorities, his huge majorities in both the House and the Senate collapse. So the Republicans took over the House, of course. They shellacked the Democrats in the Senate as well. Didn't quite get control of it, but they took control of the House. And then what we end up having when all said and done is a setup for 2014, where Republicans took over both House and Senate. Hopefully we don't have to worry about that now, because we're not dealing with supermajority in the Senate this time. We're dealing with 50-50 split. So this should be a fantastic bellwether for what we should expect a year from now in the midterms of 2022. Stop whining and complaining about election fraud and go out and vote, go out and volunteer, become a Patriot precinct observer. That's how we do it. That's how we change things. And in the meantime, we have all this election integrity laws being passed. 20 states, more are coming and joining. And so let's make sure we get that done. All right, guys. All right. So I'll see you tomorrow morning for some deeper analysis into what looks like to a very impressive Youngkin win. All right, guys. God bless. Good chat with you.